All else being equal, a callable bond is more beneficial to the issuer, investor, or neither the investor nor the issuer. So if a bond is callable, this is going to be a feature for the issuer, meaning that if yields fall, they can call the bond back and then they can issue debt at the new yields. So for that reason, this is going to be a benefit for the issuer. For the investor, the callable bond gives them a little higher yield normally due to the value of the call option. But if yields fall, then they're going to get their bond taken away from them. Then they're going to have to reinvest at lower rates. So for that reason, we go with A. It's more beneficial for the issuer. In which of the following bond issuing mechanisms does an investment bank have the highest risk? A, auction, B, best effort offering, or C, underwritten offering? So in auction, they're not going to have any risk at all. They're just going to be helping to facilitate the auction. And so the highest bid is going to get the bonds that are issued. They don't really have any risk at play. They're just going to be taking some commission on their sale, essentially. So we can rule out A since there's little to no risk there. A B, best effort offering is going to be similar. They're not going to have much, if any, risk here as well. They're basically making their best effort in order to sell as many bonds as they can and raise the capital that was required. So then in C, this is where they are going to have some risk. In this case, they are buying the bonds at a certain price, and then they are trying to sell them at a higher price to other people, and so they make a profit on that spread. However, if they don't sell the bonds, then they still owe the capital to the issuing firm, and so that's where their risk comes into play. Answer C. The current price of a bond is $1,054. The yield to maturity increases by 1%. When the yield to maturity increases by 1%, the price of the bond goes down to $1,023. When the yield to maturity decreases by 1%, the price of the bond reaches $1,084. The modified duration of the bond is closest to. So let's bring in our formulas and answer here, and we'll walk through this. So modified duration is going to be equal to PV minus. So this is present value under a decrease in yields. So that value is going to be our 1,084. And then PV plus our present value if we have an increase in yield, so 1,023. And then in our denominator, we'll have 2 times the change in yield, which was given at 1%. So that'll be 0.01, which we see here. And then multiply that by the current present value before any yield changes, which is 1,054. We see all those numbers plugged in right here. We're given everything here. We just need to put this formula to memory and know when to use it. And that gives us a modified duration of 2.89. Answer C. A corporation issues a bond with a covenant that restricts the sale of significant assets without the approval of bondholders. Which type of covenant does this most likely define? A pari passu clause, a negative covenant, or a cross default clause. So a cross default clause, this is going to say that when we have multiple different bond obligations, so we're going to issue debt at different times and during different periods. This is saying that if I issue debt in 2010 and then I issue debt in 2012, let's say, if I default on my 2010 debt, then that's also going to count as a default on my 2012 debt. So we can rule that out since that's not what's being described in the question. And then pari passu clause, this is going to be a clause where all folks within the same part of the debt structure are going to be treated equally. Again, not related to restricting the sale of assets. So this is going to be B, a negative covenant. And the key here for a negative covenant is restricts. So negative covenant is implying that that's something that the company can't do. If we have a positive covenant, that's something that the company has to do in order to stay good on the debt. Negative is something that they're not allowed to do or restricted from doing. Answer B. Jessica is comparing 2 bonds. A 5-year semi-annual coupon bond issued by DEF Corp. with a coupon rate of 3% and yield to maturity of 2%, and a 20-year annual coupon bond issued by GHI Corp. With a coupon rate of 6% and yield to maturity of 5%. Assuming interest rates increase by 50 basis points immediately, Which bond's price will likely decrease the most in percentage terms? Is it GHI Corp, DEF Corp, or both bonds will decrease the same percentage? So we're given a lot of information here. The only thing that's important though for this, yield to maturity and coupon are not necessarily important in this case. 5-year versus 20-year. A longer term bond is going to have more interest rate sensitivity. So a increase is going to lead to a decrease in both these bonds, but for the 5-year yield, let's say it's down here. For the 20-year, it's going to be down here. It's going to have much higher duration, higher interest rate sensitivity. So we're going to go with the 20-year bond, GHI Corp, answer A. Where the coupon could come into play is if you were given 2 5-year bonds. So if you were given 2 5-year bonds, that's where the coupon could come into play, because the maturity is going to have less of an effect on the duration, or it's going to have less of it's not going to tell you the difference in the duration, but higher coupon is going to be lower duration. So if you were given 2 5-year bonds and you wanted to know which is going to have the longer duration and more sensitivity, it'd be that lower coupon bond. Answer A. A bond investor has an investment horizon of 6 years. He recently calculated the Macaulay duration of his portfolio is 9. Duration gap is close as 2. So this is going to be pretty straightforward. The duration gap is our duration minus investment horizon. So it's just going to be 9 minus 6 gives us answer C, 3 years. All else being equal, an investor will most likely prefer a bond that is less convex, more convex, or less or more convex, depending on the investor's overall portfolio. So let's make a drawing to illustrate this. So on the y-axis, we're going to have bond price. On the x-axis, we'll have bond yield. And so if we're just looking at the duration, this is kind of what that looks like. So as yields fall, prices are going to increase, and vice versa. So this is our duration, kind of the simple estimate of if yield falls, what does that do to my price? A more or less convex portfolio or bond, so a less convex bond is going to look more like this duration portion, but a more convex bond is going to look more like this. So we're going to have a little bit more, and this is a little bit dramatic of a picture, but it's going to look more kind of exponential. So whether this is beneficial or not, let's think about this. So in this scenario, let's assume our bond is currently priced here. If yields fall in this scenario, our price is going to go up for both these bonds, but for the bond that's less convex, our price is going to go to here. Our bond that's more convex, the price is going to go up to here. So essentially, there's more asymmetry in this bond. And on the converse, if our yields increase, let's say to here, our price on this bond is going to be here. And then our price on this bond is going to be up here. So under both scenarios, whether the bond yield falls or rises, a more convex bond has better risk-adjusted characteristics. And so for that reason, we're going to go with answer B. We would want a bond that's more convex. Now, sounds great in theory. In reality, that convexity is priced into the bonds, and so they end up being priced relatively similar, whether they're less or more convex. A more convex bond is a lot of times going to have a lower yield because it has that feature. A U.S. investor purchases an unsecured bond underwritten by an international syndicate and denominated in Canadian dollars. The type of bond described is most likely A Eurobond, B foreign bond, or C domestic bond. So a domestic bond, if we were a U.S. investor, that would be a U.S. bond. And so since this is international syndicate and Canadian dollars, that would be not a domestic bond since it's not U.S., obviously. A foreign bond is going to be a foreign bond or foreign entity, so international syndicate, that's good so far, but it would be denominated in US dollars for this to be a foreign bond. So we're going to rule that out for that reason, so that leaves us with A, Eurobond. And Eurobond doesn't have to do with Europe, it's just the name for it. And it's going to be this scenario where we have international different types of currencies when those don't match up with the U.S. investors' home country, that's when we're going to have a Eurobond. Answer A. An 8% coupon rate 5-year bond has a maturity par of $1,000 if the discount rate is 5% and the interest rate and the interest is paid semi-annually, then the value of the bond is closest to. So we're going to be using our time value of money calculator here. So we'll pull that in, punch in these numbers. So our N, we're doing semi-annual, so we'll take the years, multiply that by 2. So we'll have 10 for our N. Our interest rate is 5. We're going to divide that by 2 to get 2.5 since we're doing semi-annual again. Present value is what we're going to be solving for, so we'll leave that blank for now. 8% coupon semi-annually, so we'll do 8% multiplied by our par to get 8. But again, semi-annual, so we'll divide that by 2. We get 40 for our payment. And then future value is par at 1,000. So from here, we will compute present value, and we get 1,131.28, which is right there, answer B. ABC Corp has issued many types of debt over the past couple of years. The rating on their debt is A-. Rating agencies have chosen this rating based on A, pro rata basis, the latest debt issued, or C, senior unsecured debt. This one's going to be answer C, and no major advice here other than just committing that to memory. The latest debt issued is not always going to be senior unsecured debt, so that's a reason why we might not use that. And pro rata basis would be, I guess, considering all different types of debt involved, which they are going to do, but the rating is really just going to be based on how secure this senior unsecured debt is. Answer C.